Welcome to Connecting Right. I cannot hear myself.
I can hear you, Dave. So
something must be wrong with my headphones then.
Yeah, I think it's your ears.
We'll get Cody on that.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyways, sorry about that. Anyways, welcome to tonight's show. We're doing one quick thing and then going into a big thing, something that we're really excited about doing. We're
Our gun control debate.
Yes, a gun control debate, which somebody said was pointless.
Well, that person is wrong and silly.
Well, posting your opinion on Facebook is pointless also, but people still do it. Anyway, so the first thing that we're going to get into, first off, I want to say that we are going to be talking about the Julie Olson messages that came out and everything like that. We are on KHTS. KHTS did write a story about it. KHTS does not, they give us the ability to decide what we want to say, how we want to say it, and what we want to do. They don't really control what we do. So everything that I'm about to say now is the basis of me and Sean. It has nothing to do with KHTS. So anyways, here we go. First and foremost, your opinions on the situation that's fine. You're allowed to have an opinion on the situation, but what it really comes down to, I mean, you're going to see what was said, and this and that. You can decide if it was right that these were out or not and whatever. But the fact is that they are out now. People have seen them, and yeah, you're allowed to form your opinion. But for me, the only opinion that I really care about is what the school board thinks. Mm-hmm. And they're either going to decide whether she stays or goes, or if there's any type of disciplinary action. And fine, and whatever they decide is what I'm going to accept.
Yeah.
If there's some people out there that are like, oh, these are private messages that should have never been out there, and yeah, I kind of get that, but also at the same time, the worst part about seeing that was that there's some people that were saying that Donald Trump shouldn't be president because of what he said, because of a private message that was recorded and put out. So it's like, some of you are off, some of you aren't, but anyways, like I said, the opinions are opinions, and it's going to be what it is. And there's been a lot of hate on KHTS, and this is where it comes in, where I'm saying that this is my own opinion, and this is the opinion that I've gotten from talking to other people and outside of Santa Clarita, people that work in different news agencies and stuff like that. And here's the deal: is that they received this information, and once they received it, they were put in a very, very tight spot. Mm-hmm. It was print it and do a story on it, or sit on it.
Yeah.
That's basically the two options that they had. Now they went with it, and there's some backlash that they've received from it. And fine, it's going to happen. Not everyone's going to be happy about everything. There's nothing, you can't please everybody. But on the other side of things is that they would have sat on it. This is going to come out anyways. I mean, somebody was going to get out there no matter what. And once it's out, and then people go, oh, well, KHTS knew about this and they sat on it. Then you're going to have a whole other group of people that are mad that they sat on it as opposed to doing something about it.
Yeah, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. So everyone and I kind of almost feel like it's not so much they're mad at KHTS. They want to be mad at somebody or something for this, but the fact that they're, I've heard a lot of people say that they know for sure who put it out, even though there's no evidence. So I'm not out here to, unless I have hard evidence in front of me to show that this person did this, that they took the screenshots and gave them to KHTS, or they took the screenshots and gave them to someone else and gave them to KHTS, or however this worked out.
I like to think carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon?
That's the image I like to have in my head.
I like to go more old school, like Game of Thrones, have a crow.
Yeah, a crow?
Yeah.
All right.
Something like that.
Pony Express?
Pony, yeah. So, you never know. Yeah. You never know. They could have just ridden all the way across the land. So, but anyway, so we just wanted to get that out of the way, because it's something that just kind of needed to be addressed. But at the same time, it's just we wanted to let you know what we were going on there. Anyways, we are going to take a very early, quick break because we want to give as much time with that before our next break to our gun control debate. Where we're going to be asking. We've asked Stephen Daniels and Matthew Funicello to come on. Matthew he started the California Conservative Action Group, and Stephen does the Talk of SCV, which is currently on hiatus while he continues to educate himself at COC, which is a very honorable thing to do. But anyways, we'll be back shortly with those two and get this debate going.
Looking for the best return on your investment? Do you want your hard-earned dollar stretched to do the most good for your community? That means that out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the need being addressed. Help the Children is in Santa Clarita, helping Santa Clarita families and other Santa Clarita charities. When compared to more than 1.2 million charities in America, Help the Children is rated the 7th most efficient charity in the nation, operating on a 1% overhead, and we receive no government funding for our operations in the community. If you are looking to donate to the good of the Santa Clarita community, please consider partnering with Help the Children. What is donated specifically for Santa Clarita is kept in Santa Clarita and will help over 5,000 families and over 10 other agencies. Please visit our website and or call our office to make a difference in our awesome town community. 702-8852, helpthechildren.org.
How did you become addicted? A friend? Were you at a party and someone said, "Hey, try this"? Then you got the cold sweats and started shaking. And the more you did it, the more it didn't work. So you switched to the needle. Now you're a train wreck. Drinking, drugging, broke. Your family hates you. And you hate you. Get out of your hell on earth now. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline today for immediate help. In many cases, your insurance may cover the costs. We can't guarantee it, but we can guarantee we have what you need to change your life for the better. Pick up your cell phone and call right now. 800-694-1135. 800-694-1135. 800-694-1135. That number again, 800-694-1135.
We all know someone impacted by the Las Vegas tragedy. It's touched our valley in thousands of households. Many of us were actually there. In Santa Clarita, we had 1 fatality and 14 injured by bullets. Many more were injured trying to escape. Others are still traumatized by their ordeal, finding challenges returning to normal lives. The law firm of Owen Patterson Owen is helping many Las Vegas victims get financial assistance for their ordeal. If you know someone impacted by the shooting, visit opolaw.com.
KHTS.
All right, welcome back to Connecting Right Radio Show. We're very excited to be able to do this. This is going to be our very first debate.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to it. Really appreciate Stephen Daniels from the Talk of Santa Clarita. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
And Matt Funicello from the California Conservative Action Group. Thanks you for coming on.
Thank you, Matt.
And so just to explain how we're going to do this real quick, we're going to give you a question or statement. We're going to flip a coin. We're going to see who goes first. So if Stephen, you're going to go, let's say you go first. We're going to ask the question or the comment. You're going to get first we're going to do opening statements. You're going to get 2 minutes. Matt's going to get 2 minutes. Then based on who wins, the first person will be asked the question. They'll get 2 minutes to respond to that. Then the other person will get 2 minutes to rebuttal that. And then the original person who answered the question will get 1 minute to rebuttal the response. Mm-hmm. We have 8 questions, so we're going to try to get through as many as we can. And this is going to take some time. We do have to take another commercial break at some point, which will probably be around about the 25-minute mark from where we're at now.
And Dave and I picked the questions, and nobody has seen the questions but us.
Yes, we wanted to make this very fair, very, very informative, and just let you guys do your thing. So before we start with the opening statements, I'm going to let Stephen pick heads or tails, and I'm going to flip the coin.
Heads. Looks like tails.
All right, so Matt's going to go first. Since Matt's going to get the first question, we'll go ahead and start with him with the opening statement. So Matt, go ahead and tell us your stance on Matt. Matt, go ahead and tell us your stance on gun control.
I have no formal open statement other than to suggest that we have enough gun control law. We have enough gun control laws in this country, especially in California. We don't have a gun problem. We have a mental health problem. Further restriction of the Second Amendment and gun rights in this country will absolutely do nothing.
All right, I think that look on your face says it all right there, Stephen. So let's go ahead with your opening statement.
Well, we'll start with this. Just the idea that there's absolutely no point in trying to do anything. It's sort of like saying, well, the baby wants to get into the rat poison, so there's no point in putting it up in the higher shelf. But let me just say this. I'm from Kentucky. I grew up around the gun culture around in the South. I fired a gun. My friends are hunters, and I used to be very, very, very pro-gun. That whole Second Amendment thing, and it's important the right to bear arms against tyranny and all this other stuff. And I have evolved, in my opinion, some things, and to the point that I think that's all a load of crap. And to be very blunt, people know my stances on politics, and that people have listened to my show and things. But I'll go one step further than what most people will say, because most Dems will turn around and say, "Oh, I support the Second Amendment, but gun control." No, I think honestly, it's time to repeal the Second Amendment. It is dated, and it's time to get rid of it. And I'll go into it tonight if anybody wants to know why.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, okay. Well, thank you very much for your opening statements. We're going to go ahead with the question again. Matt's going to get the first question. Yep. He'll get 2 minutes to answer it, and then Stephen will let you rebuttal, and then Matt will get to rebuttal that, and then we'll reverse it. So,
all right, I will start
Sean
off with the question.
first
First
question.
one on the list. What is your favorite color? I'm just kidding, Matt. All right. In 2016, there were 33,000 gun deaths, which includes 11,000 homicides. What steps and actions would you suggest we take in order to lower that number?
The homicide statistics, in relation to the gun deaths, you need to enforce the laws that are actually on the books right now. The statistics from the FBI, out of that 30 plus thousand number, only 8,000, just over 8,000 of those were committed by people with guns. And out of that number, 80% of that is related to gangs and drugs. And that's from the Department of Justice. So we don't really have a gun problem. You're not enforcing the laws, one, and it's indicative of urban households or urban cities in an urban environment where they have a large population of gangs and yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So what steps would you suggest we take in order to lower that number?
You have to enforce the existing laws on the books.
Okay.
You have to.
That's it? Just enforce the existing laws?
Enforce the laws on the books and actually do some law enforcement to lower the crime rate.
Okay.
Steve?
So your contention is that they're not enforcing the laws right now. Is that what you're saying? That
right.
The police are not enforcing the laws.
Well, not the actual police. The police are actually doing their job. They're arresting the criminals, but the prosecution of said gun laws are down. 2016 DOJ Inspector General's report came out that between 2008 and 2015, the U.S. Attorney's Office prosecuted less than 32 people per year for knowingly falsifying information on the 4473, which is the form to buy guns. Which is a felony. Mm-hmm. 2 out of 10 denials referred were prosecuted. In 2002 and 2003, they prosecuted 80% of referrals to the ATF, 60% in 2008, and just 38% in 2013. So obviously there's a problem there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But my response to that is, the idea that one of the problems we have when you're talking about urban, you're talking about areas like Chicago, I assume, when you're suggesting, large cities.
To be included, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that comes from the issue of the right to own a handgun in the cities. The Supreme Court, I don't know what year it was, and because Matt, you've obviously done more research than I have, that I congratulate you on. But it's the Supreme Court ruled a while back that when DC used to have
DC versus Heller.
Yeah, thank you. See, I didn't even need that. I got you as DC versus Heller. Ruled that it was unconstitutional for a city to limit handgun rights, limit handguns in the city. Now, when that overturned, that was when you saw a boost in handgun violence.
That's not true.
That's not true?
That's
Based
not
on
true.
what? What statistic?
Chicago has been on a steady increase in violent crime, specifically firearm-related homicides, way prior to 2008, which was the D.C. versus Heller decision. The D.C. versus Heller decision was related to Washington, D.C.'s complete ban on concealed carry of a firearm and ownership of a handgun in the D.C. area. The DC versus Heller decision obviously created a full-blown national standard for that, but Chicago had been on the rise prior to that decision coming down for 5 years minimum.
But I believe so. If you check the actual stats on it, you'll see that it actually spiked afterwards. Is that correct?
No, it's not.
It's not correct?
No.
Okay. You've thrown me back a little bit. But no, I just think that in situations like that, you're saying that enforcing the law. Well, I mean, why not just limit handguns in particular in the city itself?
That solves that doesn't solve any problem.
Why not? I mean, that and the idea of it's like, well, why not? Why should murder be illegal? I mean, because people are going to murder anyway.
People will circumvent the laws if they want to do it. People will conduct and commit evil regardless of the laws in place. Case in point, I'm
going to go back to the baby's going to get into the rat poison regardless of where we put it.
Well, I believe that's a false equivalency.
How so?
We have enough gun control laws on the books. Put it to you this way. In California specifically, where we have the most strictest gun laws in the country, right?
Right.
The one gun control law that actually made sense, liberals got rid of with Prop 47. Prior to Prop 47, possession of a stolen firearm was a felony. Now it's not. It's a misdemeanor. So when a police officer encounters somebody with a stolen firearm, they get a ticket to appear in court, and they get let loose on the street. How does that make sense?
I don't agree with that. Okay, I mean, but I still think that there are issues. I mean, the idea that your attitude seems to be like, let's quit before we get started. It's like, why even, you're saying that the gun control, there's enough gun control rules. Like, for example, Clinton's assault rifle ban in the 90s. Now, to my knowledge, those gun deaths went down during that period in the 90s. Not true again. Okay.
Not true. The assault weapons ban of 1994 that sunsetted in 2004 had zero negligible impact on firearm-related homicides. Specifically, was the intent of that bill was to ban, obviously, assault weapons, quote-unquote assault rifles, in the attempt to break down homicide and mass murders. Columbine was committed after that assault weapons ban took place. No assault weapons were used, but they killed a buttload of people.
Right, I'm not saying that
every single mass shooting that occurred between 1994 and 2004, only one was committed with a quote unquote assault rifle. Everyone else was committed with a handgun
because they weren't available.
No, they were available because that just isn't in California. The law did not take away assault rifles. They just banned them from being sold. They were still in circulation.
The availability was limited. It made it more difficult to obtain an assault rifle.
And did it stop anything? No, it didn't.
You don't know that.
I do know that. The stats show that.
You don't know how many people were out there that suddenly went, I need an assault rifle. I can't get my hands on one. You don't know that. You don't know how many people, for example, let me give you another example. I need some water. Does anybody have any water? I'm getting riled up here.
Do we got water around here somewhere, Cody?
But let me give you an example. The idea that when Gabby Giffords was shot, right? Okay, the reason that they were able to take down the gunman, okay, was because he was trying to reload his weapon. Okay, the idea is if people that might have wanted that do a mass shooting, like the Columbine kids, for example, they may have wanted to get assault rifles, but they couldn't get their hands on it. You can't prove.
You can't prove that either, though.
No, I know,
the point.
but
Nobody
can
prove that.
Exactly. But you just made a statement that's saying that no assault rifle, the assault rifle ban did make a difference.
But it didn't make a difference in its intended goal. Its intended goal was to stop mass shootings, and it didn't. The intended goal was to get these quote-unquote weapons of war off the street, and it did nothing to stop firearm-related homicide. It stayed the same. It didn't go down. It stayed the same. As a matter of fact, it actually ticked a small percentage upward, but it didn't do anything. When I say there's enough gun control laws on the book, hold on, let me just get this. Right. When I say there's enough gun control laws on the books, let me just read you. Since 1934, okay, the National Firearms Act of 1934 was the very first gun control law that was invented or that was passed. You had the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Acts of 1968, the Gun Control Act of 1968, the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986. However, The poison pill, the Hughes Amendment in 1986, prohibited the sale of automatic firearms without ATF approval. The Undetectable Firearms Act, 1988. The Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990. The Brady Handgun Violence Protection Act, 1993. How many more laws are you going to pass?
Let's start with banning the AK-47.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay? Because the AK-47 or a gun similar to
The AK variant, because the AK-47 is illegal to own, or not legal. It's not illegal to own, but it's heavily regulated.
All right, but the weapon we're talking about,
a semi-automatic rifle is what you.
Okay. All right. It is the same type that was used in Newtown, same type that was used in Orlando, same type that was used in Las Vegas, same type that was used in San Bernardino,
Right.
And the school shooting that just took place in Texas.
Right.
Okay.
That was a church
Their
shooting.
church shooting. The
That
school
was-
shooting.
school shooting was up
School
north,
shooting
yeah.
in
Excuse
Northern
me.
California.
Yeah.
See, when I get riled up, I get my place.
It's all, no problem.
All good.
No problem.
No worries.
No problem.
No worries.
But what I'm saying is, like, for example, in Orlando, the guy, walked in there with that weapon. I mean, there's a pattern of using that particular type of weapon for mass shootings. So, don't you have an issue with possibly thinking that maybe that weapon should be banned?
No, I don't. The weapon that's used, it's negligible. Do you realize that for example, in Vegas, where everybody has an issue with the bump stock, if he actually didn't have a bump stock, he probably would have killed a lot more people. If you and let me just tell you this. I was in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2005. I was an expert marksman. I am an NRA certified instructor. I've been around guns since I was 18. The bump stock is just a novelty item that makes the performance of that firearm negligibly worse. Okay.
No, you're talking about as far as marksmanship goes, but not
as far as marksmanship goes. Yeah, if he had a semi-automatic, you want to ban AR-15s, right? And this guy, let's talk about the Vegas shooting. This guy planned this thing. We don't know for how long. He was a lawful firearms owner prior to him, going nutso, right?
Right.
You take away the AR-15, okay, cool. He takes a Mini 14 now. Semi-automatic rifle. Just doesn't have any of the evil features that you don't like. Still would have killed the same amount of people, if not more.
Why don't we get rid of the bump stock and the bump stock?
The bump stock solves nothing. It solves nothing.
Well, great. Then let's ban it. You don't have a problem with it if it doesn't do
No,
it.
I do have a problem with it. I think we should have it. I think there's
why?
no...
We're letting this get. Dave and Sean are just sitting here going.
Yeah, sorry, I know.
We had questions.
It's a back and forth. My
No,
apologies.
It's fine. We kind of
I like
we
it.
can
It's
speak
better, yeah.
telepathically, and we were
Yeah.
like this is actually better than our format. People are probably enjoying this a lot more.
I don't care
it
that we
probably
spent,
is.
format.
We spent all day on this figuring out a format, and then with the first question, it's just out the It's fine.
No.
I mean, why do you feel that it needs to be a right to own a gun? I mean,
Because it is.
That's a circular argument. I'm asking you, why do you think it needs to be a right to own a gun? Why do you have to have a right to own a weapon that's designed specifically to kill?
What weapon isn't designed to kill?
A car's not, but it can kill people.
Yeah, cars kill more than guns every year, annually.
But it's not designed to kill. It's designed for transportation.
Right, so it's something
But
that wasn't designed
The
to-
only thing it's designed for is to point at something and kill it. So I'm asking you,
That's
why
not
do
true.
you-
Actually, defensive uses of a firearm, statistically speaking, actually, I have this written down. Defensive gun uses. Based on a survey from a 2000 study published in the Journal of Quantitative Criminology, U.S. civilians use guns to defend themselves over 1 million times per year, without even firing a shot.
There is also statistics to prove that about 80% of you're about 80% more likely to get shot by
What are
pulling a gun.
Show me those statistics.
I didn't bring them, Matt, because I didn't think we were going to play that game.
Everything that I
What
bring
was
up.
that? What was that statistic that you?
I believe it's about 80%. I don't hold me to the exact number, but you're more likely to get shot by using a gun, by having a gun to defend yourself than not. It's better to run away or hide than.
I question vehemently that statistic.
Okay, well,
I really do.
Well, then let's apply it then to Las Vegas. Okay, what would have happened if someone had pulled a gun to defend themselves in that mess that was happening, where people didn't even know what was happening?
A trained person carrying a firearm probably wouldn't have used it, because they know that if they were to actually use their firearm, they need to know their target and know its background.
But you know what? My problem with that is that anybody can pass a test if they study hard enough.
No, you can't.
But,
Yeah, you're right.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
But what you can't monitor is intent, or what an attitude is towards something. I mean,
And
your
that goes
attitude
the same
toward
with everything,
to
yeah.
me, I don't like even being around a gun. But you obviously have a different attitude than I do.
Right.
Right? Okay, but I could still pass the test just like you could.
And you have to go through training too.
Right.
And you have to qualify on the firearm.
Sure.
Some people just can't shoot and they can't get it.
But my point is that there are a lot of people out there that could pass a test that would probably still pull the weapon out and try and shoot. How does a cop know where the good guy is, the bad guy is when everybody's pulling guns to shoot?
Being a former law enforcement officer, we're actually trained in that. And knowing that the training that you have to go through, especially in California, that we are trained, and it's mandated by law, that if you're met with law enforcement, you cease your activities and you identify yourself.
And you can see that happening in Las Vegas in the mass shooting that was happening there.
It did happen in Las Vegas.
With people pulling guns.
No, people didn't pull guns. People were actually wanting to pull guns, and police officers told them, no, back off, we got this. And that happened. No police officers engaged any friendly civilian.
All right, we're going to go on to the next question.
No, this is great.
This is great. I love it.
You guys are doing awesome. We're actually gonna skip question 2 since we took a little bit more time on that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we're probably only gonna get through like 3 or 4 questions at this point. But no, your guys' interaction is
fine.
Research. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
People like it, and so you're both doing a great job, and let's just we'll keep it moving.
Oh, I'm sure your audience is killing me right now.
No.
Don't think about the audience, man. It's all about from your heart, dude.
Yeah.
It's
All right, Dave's going to take this question.
Oh.
Goes to Steven, right?
Yes.
Yes, so let Steven start on this one, and then you guys can start your back and forth from
Is
there.
it Steve or Steven? What do you prefer?
Steven.
Okay.
As of 2009, there are 300 million guns in the U.S., which is 101 guns per 100 residents. Do you think that was or was not what the Founding Fathers intended when they wrote the Second Amendment?
Oh, this is awesome. Okay. No, it's not at all what, I mean, the thing about the if you look into the history books, okay, about the Second Amendment, you have to think about the times it existed, okay? And I actually have notes on this.
Watch out, Matt.
No, I mean, you have to keep in mind a couple of things about the time period, okay? First, at the time period, what the gun of choice or the gun available was a musket and a pistol.
It was a muzzle-loaded gun, right?
Right.
There's also a machine gun available.
Okay, well, not a common thing.
It was common at the time. There was a pickle gun in the 1700s.
My point is not in the household. Okay?
No, it wasn't in the household. I'm sorry.
The point of a musket, the point of having a gun in the house was for hunting. A main purpose was for hunting, for survival during that time period. If you didn't have a gun, you might even starve. Okay. The second thing is, it was the other point of having a gun at that time period was for the militia. Okay, the militia used their own guns. Okay, the third issue that they had in creating the Second Amendment was the idea that King George was actually trying to confiscate the weapons. Okay, so now you put it in those 3 points, and you go, okay, the Second Amendment makes sense. You know, for our own militia, for hunting, and for our own survival, and the fact that the king is trying to take that right away. But nobody is going to starve today because of the fact that they don't have a gun. Okay? The guns today don't take 15 minutes to load to do a single shot. And the militia, well, the military gives you your own gun these days. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's one of the cool things that they do about the military. They give you your own gun, so you don't have to bring yours anymore. So really, the arguments that were put forth to have the Second Amendment are dated. So I mean, can I throw this question out to Matt? Matt, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Okay, do you believe the Constitution can be amended and changed and evolve over time?
It can be amended. Yeah, it's part of the Constitution.
So you acknowledge the idea that the Constitution, written the way it was in the 1700s, is not necessarily appropriate or it's dated in some cases. For example, women don't have the right to vote. Slave-free is legal. Those things do not apply today. I'm suggesting that the Second Amendment, written the way it was, does not apply for today. The idea that we have, one of the problems I think we have in our society today is we live in a gun culture. Just like 50 years ago, we lived in a smoking culture where everybody thought it was normal to smoke cigarettes wherever they went. Today, the Second Amendment perpetuates an idea that we need a gun to solve our problems in every situation. it pushes that idea to every person and they're thinking that they have to have a gun in the house for protection. They have to have a gun to solve a problem. That's not the case anymore. And that's why the Second Amendment is not appropriate for today.
Okay, Matt?
I would respond to say you are completely wrong. The second,
Don't mince words here, man. Come on.
The Second Amendment was written for the individual, not for the militia. Okay, linguistic experts actually agree with me on that one.
Okay,
they've done case studies several times with English scholars saying it applies to the individual. That's how it reads: a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Okay, the people, the person, the individual. Okay,
for purposes of the militia.
No. The founders at the time, when they wrote the Second Amendment, civilians were not part of a militia unless they actually volunteered. Okay? The way that Second Amendment was written is for the right of the people, separate from the militia.
Why though? And we'll get to that.
Just to give you guys a heads up, we got 2 minutes before we hit a break.
Okay. The Second Amendment, when they wrote it because they knew that we needed to protect ourselves separate from the militia, because when the government has control over militia, it has control over its people.
So
hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
So when the individual has a right to keep and bear arms for the purpose of not protection, not hunting, is to protect themselves and their property from a tyrannical government.
From tyranny, from government.
From the tyrannical government.
Okay.
I would submit to you that if you were to abolish the Second Amendment, we will not live in a free state anymore. Because every single amendment is backed up by the second. Your right to speak however you want to speak is protected by the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment protects you, me, everybody in this room from a government coming in and saying, you know what, I don't want you to do your podcast anymore.
Yeah, let's go back to that for just a moment. What you're talking about, tyranny against the government, you're a former United States Marine, right? You took a sworn oath to the Constitution.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is treason.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
How is it treason?
Rising up against the government is treason, my friend.
I'm not rising up against the government.
But
how am I rising up against the government?
You're suggesting, first, 2 points I want to make. The first is, you're suggesting rising up against the
Take a breath.
See, I'm getting riled up again.
That's all right.
Protecting yourself against tyranny from the government. Okay, that's an idea of uprising against the government. That the South did that. It was called treason. The second point is, even if you're right, okay, even if it became necessary, just for a second, think about this. Even with your AK-47s or whatever else other kind of weapon you might have, do you really think you're going to take down the U.S. military?
I think I'll wait till after the break to answer that. It's kind of a
that's a nail biter right there.
Are you sure?
Look, that's a
no. We do need to take a break. We don't want to cut anybody off. We're going to come back and we'll have Stephen repeat his statement, and Matt will respond to it, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, and wait till we get back from break to go into fisticuffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can still see you on the live stream.
True.
So.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll be back.
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org. Improving lives, one family at a time.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Santa Clarita Valley residents now have greater access to the excellent physicians and high-quality medical services for which Providence Holy Cross is known. Providence Holy Cross Health Center in Santa Clarita features state-of-the-art cancer and imaging technologies, as well as board-certified physicians in a variety of medical specialties. Quality and compassion from a healthcare provider you can depend on. For more information, call 1-888-HEALING or visit us at providence.org.
Hometown.
They're amazing, and every single one of their songs is amazing, except for like one.
Your hometown station.
All right, welcome back to the Connecting Right radio show. We are in the middle of doing a gun control debate with Stephen Daniels from Talk of Santa Clarita and Matt from the California Conservative Action Group. Stephen, when we had to take a break, Stephen had made a statement that Matt was about to respond to, so we're going to go ahead and have Stephen repeat his statement, and then Matt is going to go from there.
Okay, Matt had said that the point of the Second Amendment was the idea that about tyranny from the government itself. And my 2 points were, if you're going to rise up against the government, that is treason, period. The second thing is, even if it became necessary, even if Trump became Hitler or whatever happened, and everything, no matter what kind of weapons you're going to have at your house to protect yourself against the government, what are the odds of protecting yourself against the entire United States military?
Pretty good.
Really?
Pretty good.
Okay,
yeah,
I'd love to hear this.
I get that a lot from a lot of gun control guys. Look, America was founded on guerrilla warfare. Okay, America was everybody, the experts, everything. The American militia went up against the top dog, the British Army, and they kicked their butt. Why? Because of irregular guerrilla warfare. We wrote the book on that. The American military has also dictated that they will never use any of their nuclear weapons or high-powered weapons on U.S. soil, even in the case of a foreign invasion, because they don't want to kill American civilians.
But you're talking about tyranny, though.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Rising up against a tyrannical government is not treason. When you're rising up against a tyrannical government, it's legal at that point because they've gone against the United States Constitution. The American military has sworn an oath to uphold and defend the American Constitution, and if any outside force other than the U.S. military decides, you know what, the Bill of Rights, I'm just going to cancel it. Say Trump did go dictator. We have every right in the Constitution to overthrow that government. The military is going to take part in that. They're going to be on our side. If they are not on our side, then it's not treason. Okay. I am defending the United States Constitution, the United States Bill of Rights as written. And as that's written,
your interpretation of it.
That's factual law.
No, your interpretation of it. Because what I'm suggesting is your idea is that you decided that to rise up.
No,
it's not.
What I'm saying is that.
So I mean, now I could turn around and go, hey, it's a dictatorship right now. I'm going to rise up because the Constitution says I can.
No. When you rise up against a tyrannical government, you have proof that they have gone against the United States Constitution. When I joined the Marine Corps, I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution.
Right.
I swore an oath, right?
Right.
I have to obey all orders of officers appointed over me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to follow that's not the case for officers. They can turn down an illegal order.
Right.
Okay? So, given that fact, your interpretation, like, Trump's a fascist, Trump's a dictator, I'm going to go... No, I know you didn't say I'm just, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We're just playing hypothetical here.
Okay.
By you doing that, you're doing that on your own.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of a tyrannical government, they have full-blown taken the step of going against the United States Constitution. That's not treason. It's not. And you'll know it's not like an individual going up against the United States, the whole government. It's an entire uprising.
That is the same argument the South did. The Confederates argued during the Civil War.
The Confederates argued states' rights. the federalism,
Exactly.
the whole thing of federalism.
That it was a tyrannical government against them.
But that's not true. They did not believe the North violated the Constitution. They believe the North violated the inherent code of states' rights. Okay? Outside forces, both the South, the Southern government, and both the Northern government did not want to conduct warfare against each other. They didn't. But it just happened, right? If any kind of force, I'm just saying, any kind of force, if you violate the Constitution, it's not, obviously it's a crime, but if you go and defend the Constitution, that's not treason.
Well, even beside that point, see, we're going to agree to disagree on that, okay?
Well, I figured that.
But, I mean, as far as actually your argument about guerrilla warfare and everything like that, all I have to say is two things to you. Waco and Ruby Ridge, man. You know, I mean...
And I think that shouldn't have happened either. The government overstepped their bounds.
Well, it's irrelevant.
No, it's not.
They both lost. That's my point. You will lose
Who
them.
lost? No. Look, the people at Waco, I'm not going to defend people at Waco. I'm just going to say this. They chose not to put up a fight. They chose to die in a burning building, and that was it. So I'm not defending Waco. I'm not, whatever. But that was an isolated point in our history.
But bottom line is, if you actually go up against the U.S. military, you're going to lose.
No, you're not.
Okay. Let me put this out there. We had the Bundy thing happen recently.
Yeah.
Where there was BLM that went up and stood and said, "Hey, you guys you're not going to be grazing on this land anymore. You owe taxes." And a bunch of oath keepers came out.
Right.
About 400 of them showed up to the point where the BLM left.
Right.
Now, I don't know the exact laws and what was going on in that situation, but there was a point where people came up and stood up against the government. And I'm just using this as an example. I'm just saying. So there's one point where the citizens rose up against the government and the government backed down.
Yeah, they backed down because I think Obama's pretty compassionate to situations, and it recognized that it was a very hotbed of a situation, and I think honestly, it was a situation where if they moved on Clive and Bundy, you could have sparked a whole national mess.
Yeah, I definitely think it would have been a big problem.
And I think Obama was smart enough to realize that. Now, but the bottom line is Clive and Bundy was trespassing. He refused to pay his taxes, and really what he was doing was treason. So, I mean...
wasn't treason. He may allegedly violated the law, but
he violated the law, dude. Come on.
Was he convicted in a court? Was he convicted by a jury of his peers? He's still a suspect. In this country, we still have a right to be innocent before being proven guilty in a court of law.
Okay, well, we're not here to debate whether he was guilty or not. I was just trying to use that as an example of a time when people did.
Moving on.
Anyways, so Sean, why don't you go ahead? Did you already tell Cody where we skipped to?
Oh, I did it, Cody. We're on 8.
We're skipping number 8.
So we went from 1, 3 to 8.
Well, we only got 10 minutes left, so we are going to.
That was quick.
Yeah, you guys have been really going at each other here for a minute.
Dave's wonderful wife actually came up with this question, so I felt like we should probably use it.
Hi, Tanya.
Yes.
Okay, question 8. Should we be required to have a license to shoot a firearm, just as you need a license to drive a car? Does this infringe on the Second Amendment?
Is it me or him?
Oh, it's Matt.
It starts with Matt in this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to shoot it down, but I'm not going to say a blanket okay yet. It makes sense. It really does. But again, the Constitution or the Supreme Court has also came down and said you cannot tax a constitutional right. So if you don't put any frivolous charges behind it, it's like, hey, look, you need to get a license. That's possible. But the federal government has also said it's illegal to have a registry of firearms owners. So as long as that doesn't, cross into that realm, then we might be able to take a look at it. But
absolutely.
I was surprised. Wow, I really didn't expect you to say that.
Look, you need a license to drive, okay? And why do you need a license to drive? To make sure you're experienced enough to behind a wheel so you're not going to put yourself in danger or anybody else's lives in danger. And hypothetically, or hopefully, that's going to be the case. Accidents are still going to happen. They're going to be responsible, and things will happen. But it limits the amount of people that are actually going to get out there and endanger other people's lives. Now, I'm going to go back to what I've said before. A car serves a purpose of transportation before it is designed to kill somebody. A gun is designed to kill, period. So why not have a license? For something of that nature. The whole thing about the right, going back to the Second Amendment itself, it's like, I don't think it's a right. It should be a right. I think it should be a privilege.
Well, the Constitution sees different. The Bill of Rights said it's the right of the people.
Written in 1700.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
No,
In 1700, they said slavery was legal. In 1700, they said women can't have the right to vote. In 1700, they said, hey, let's have guns.
Listen, the Second Amendment, or the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, is not a living and breathing document. Okay? No, it isn't. It's a piece of paper. Does it get up and walk? Does it go to the bathroom at night? No, it doesn't. The fact, here's the fact. Firearms are responsible for only 0.4% of fatal accidents in this country. With poisoning, motor vehicle traffic accidents, and falls taking the top 3, it's 79.2%. Okay, that's according to the CDC. Out of a total of over 2.6 million deaths during 2014, firearms were the cause of, wait for it, 0.01%. Okay? We're so hard up on an inanimate object that causes less than a full % of firearms deaths in this country. Why?
59 people in Las Vegas, 49 in Orlando.
That's great.
32 in Virginia Tech, 28 children in Newtown. 14 in San Bernardino, 12 in Aurora, 26 in a Texas church. There was a shooting in a school just this week.
Let me tell you about something about those statistics that you put out. They're horrible, absolutely horrible, and I am 100% against all of that. But you know what? They committed.
Well, if you're against it,
hold on, let me finish. They committed the act of murder, and a couple of those that you pointed out were not just mass shootings. A couple of them were terrorist attacks, specifically the one in San Bernardino. They illegally purchased the firearms. They illegally modified the firearms, and they committed a terrorist act.
I don't care what the motivation was behind it.
You don't? Because you should.
No.
The gun is an inanimate object.
I mind the fact that they were able to obtain the guns in the first place. I mind the fact that those guns are available.
And some of them obtained those guns illegally. There's laws existing already on the books that they violated.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
They purchased the guns illegally from a guy who went out and purchased them legally.
And that is a crime.
Okay.
Straw purchase.
Right.
That's illegal.
Right. But there was a guy who was able to go out and buy them legally. Now, if he wasn't able to buy the AR-15...
He committed a crime. Are we ignoring that? Are we ignoring the fact that he committed a crime?
It's after the fact,
No, it's not after the fact.
These people are dead.
You fill out a 4473. One of those questions on there is, are you buying this for anybody else? Check mark. That's a lie.
If
10
the
years
gun
prison,
wasn't
federal
available
felony.
at all, there might be more people alive.
And
just like in Gambit Giffords
what happens? You get a situation in New York where a guy rents a U-Haul truck and runs down a bunch of people on a sidewalk.
That's...
No, it's a legitimate argument.
It's not a legitimate argument.
It is a legitimate argument. He rented a U-Haul truck, mowed down, 19 people? No gun was used. Adapt and overcome. Criminals will find a way.
He got out of the vehicle and had
with a paintball gun and a pellet gun. Criminals will find a way.
So let's put the rat poison down by the baby and make it easy as possible.
You're using a BS argument.
No,
it is.
You are using a BS argument.
I'm using facts and statistics.
What you're saying is this attitude of why even bother to try?
We have tried. I just went through a plethora of gun control laws.
I just went through a list
since
of
1934. That's
based on using the same
that's your
types
argument.
Of weapons.
It's an emotional knee-jerk argument that you guys always use.
Guys? What do you mean by you guys?
Gun control guys. Gun control people. Just the other day, Moms Demand Action, Shannon Watts came out and said, we need to regulate muzzleloaders now because they're uber deadly. Really? You want to regulate a gun that takes a minute to reload? The ones that you say the Second Amendment were written for? Now we want to regulate those? Why? You just said it at your opening statement that you want to get rid of the Second Amendment. Yeah. I'm completely against that. You don't want gun control. You want gun abolishment. I am 120,000%
I don't want
against it.
I didn't say that.
You did. You said you wanted to abolish the Second Amendment.
I want to abolish the Second Amendment. I don't want to abolish guns. I want to make it, instead of a right, instead of making it a right, I want to make it a privilege, just like it is driving a damn car.
And again, I vehemently disagree with that.
Okay, Matt, 2 minutes why you feel we should have the Second Amendment.
We need to have the Second Amendment to protect the government, or to protect the people from the government that we have now. And what I mean by that is that use of a firearm doesn't mean to shoot. Okay? Doesn't mean to shoot. It's the threat. It's the mere fact that the government knows that its citizenry is armed. That protects me, you, anybody else around from a potentially tyrannical government that I hope to God never comes. Okay? The use of a firearm is extremely, extremely powerful. And it comes with moral, legal decisions. I've used a firearm, okay? I have shot people, and I have been shot. I know exactly what it feels like. I know exactly what it feels like to take a human life. I live with it every day of my life. Every day. Okay? But I will never, ever give up my right to own a firearm because of that.
Okay. Stephen, 2 minutes on why you feel we should abolish the Second Amendment.
Well, I mean, Matt's argument and about tyranny and protection and things like that. I got a little emotional there, but I mean, just on a logical standpoint, I mean, just how realistic is that? That we're going to be in a situation that we're going to have to rise up against the government in this day and age. How realistic is it that we're going to end up in some kind of a dictatorship, that we're going to need our guns? And again, I'm going to go back to how realistic is it that you could think you could actually stop the United States military with your guns? I'll go back to the point that I've made before about the Second Amendment being written more than 200 years ago. It is a situation where it's a dated law. So I think we're wrapping up here.
Oh, we got 3 minutes.
Yeah,
You're good.
3 minutes. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, take your time.
It just.
Well, you
have 1 minute.
Yeah, you have 1 minute.
You have a minute and 10 seconds because we just took 10 seconds.
Okay. And I just, I never expected to change Matt's mind here tonight. I honestly didn't bring a lot of statistics with me because I just took this attitude of like, Matt's going to look at anything I throw at him as fake news. And that's not, Matt's a perfectly nice guy and everything like that. He seems, pretty nice. You're not packing tonight, are you?
Wouldn't tell you if I was.
Exactly. But it comes down to, I want people to kind of think about just the idea of a gun culture itself. The idea that we live in this society where we believe that guns are the solution to our problems. That they have to have a gun in the house to protect themselves. Statistics will, if you can look it up, I should have looked it up beforehand. Statistics will show that you are more likely to be shot by pulling a gun than if you just run away or whatever. The one thing I did want to bring up real quick, just as an example about how gun control can work, Matt, is Australia. Why are you laughing at that?
Australia didn't have a Second Amendment. Let's just say that. And it didn't work, actually.
Gun deaths went down afterwards, drastically after the mass shooting that took place. I think it was in 94.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
96, Port Arthur Massacre.
Yeah, that was Port Arthur, yes.
So, I mean, gun control can work if people would open their minds a little bit to the idea of that it's a privilege to own a killing machine and not a right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Stephen, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I've gone out with Matt.
Yeah.
Would you go shooting with me?
To the range.
Would you go to the gun range with me?
Going out.
Yeah, sure. I've done it once before, and I mean, the one thing I learned really quickly was that if we were ever in a zombie invasion, I would die very fast.
Just come find one of us. You'll be fine. Bring the family. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, I'll go shooting with you. Yeah,
okay, so we'll set something up with that. Yeah, I mean, if there's an AR-15 involved, you're okay with that?
I'll shoot an AR-15. Okay. It's not the idea of needing them for the home. That's to me what is an idiotic idea.
Yeah, my 9mm for the home. That's my gun. That's my range gun.
Yeah, well, see, I have this weird. I know we're going to wrap up, but I will say this: I have this kind of twisted viewpoint on. I don't really necessarily have an issue with handguns. I have issues with the AR-15. So we'll go from there.
Well, thank you guys. Be sure to download the free KHTS app on your iPhones and Android devices. Now you can listen to KHTS wherever you are. You can also access KHTS news, social media, and more. The easiest way to get the app is by going to your Google Play or App Store and search KHTS.
Thank you again for coming on, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it.